Hey everyone, Creatively Kara here, and today we're going to be setting up the month of July in my bullet journal. I am really excited for this month's theme. I have been wanting to do a feather theme for a very long time. I've just been between how I wanted to do it. I've thought about using watercolor or just drawing it out, maybe doing some fun colors. I couldn't decide. Then I came across these stamps in one of the craft stores and thought it would be a perfect way to do my feather theme. So that is what we're doing today. We're going to be using stamps in my bullet journal. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I post videos every week about creativity in art and in my bullet journal. If you'd like to join me on my creative journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. For the cover page, I utilized the stamps to just kind of create a little border around the beautifully hand-lettered July. I think that using stamps is an excellent way to work in your bullet journal because each month can be different for everyone. You know, maybe you want to do something more simple, or maybe you want to be really crafty. Last month I used watercolor in my bullet journal, which was really the first time I've used watercolor in my Dingbats notebook, so that was really exciting. Your bullet journal is for you, and I think however you want to approach it is totally fine. And then I added in the shading into my cover as well here, so I just used one of my gray Tombows. This is a very light gray, I forget what the number is, but I like to use this one for shading. Adding in a border to your page is a really easy and simple way to really make the page pop. So if you feel like your page is missing something, add a border. That could be all it needs, and it could add so much to it. I was really happy with how this cover page turned out, and I also really love this color theme. I am using my Crayola supertip markers. I just bought a new pack of these because the other ones I had were really old and starting to dry out because I've had them for quite a long time. And so I thought I would utilize those for this month. As always, I will link to all of the supplies I use in my bullet journal today in the description box down below. I did use a different technique with my stamps. I tried stamping with some of the different stamp pads I have, but sometimes I really love how it looks when you use a marker to color on the stamp and then use that as your ink. It's a different technique and it does take a little bit longer because yes, you have to color on the stamp, but I was able to use some different blending techniques. So I would start with the lighter blue color and then I would add in little marks of the darker blue, and then it'd give a really nice mixed effect of the blues. So I really think that that technique can be good instead of just using an ink pad. As I mentioned in my previous plan with me, I have been really wanting to get into doing more quote pages because I'm really trying to work on my hand lettering. Therefore, we have a quote for July, and it's a longer one, but I really think that I like it. So I'm the kind of person where like I start writing something out and then all of a sudden I like run out of room on the other end or something. I'm really bad about that. So I have to write things out in pencil beforehand. Even still with this one, I like wrote it out in pencil and then like shifted some of the text in some of the spots, so it's fine. It still helped guide me where I needed to go. But on these kind of quote pages, you just pick up maybe 2 or 3 fonts and then you can kind of flip them up and switch them. So I use, a nice tall skinny font, hand lettering, and then also just like a smaller font. I think I actually used 4. I lied. The quote reads, "The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." I really found this quote to be truly inspirational to me, just to remind me that it's okay to fall. It's okay to fall. Just remember to get back up and try again. What is one of your inspirational quotes right now? Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I can include it in my next month's setup because I love getting quote ideas, and sometimes it's really hard to just search the internet for them because there's so many. So I would love to hear what some of your favorite quotes are. And I felt like some of my lettering needed a little bit of coloring, so I took my darker blue Crayola supertip and added in color to my boxed lettering. The next page we'll be setting up is my calendar monthly layout. In June, I used this kind of monthly setup and I really liked it. I know this tends to take a little bit more time to set up than say, Ryder Carroll's monthly layout, but I find that this style is more appealing to me, so I'm going to keep using it for right now until it doesn't work anymore for me. That's the nice thing about bullet journals. You just keep trying things, and then if you find that this just did not work for you this month, well, find something different. Try something new. That's the beauty of it. There are times when I love to use a ruler because sometimes you really do just want those perfectly straight lines, and that's great. However, sometimes, at least me, I find that the ruler can take a little bit longer for me to use because you gotta line it up perfectly and all that good stuff. But I sometimes also like to not use a ruler because I think that those imperfect lines can also look really cool in your bullet journal. I know Amanda Rachel Lee tends to not use a ruler. Her lines usually turn out perfectly straight. I don't know how she does it, but she manages. And I sometimes will take that approach as well if I'm just kind of wanting that more imperfect look, but still looks great. And then I wanted to do sort of an every other color for the calendar boxes here, where I'm going to end up putting the number for the day. Again, I love these two colors together. I was really kind of feeling that blue vibe for July, so that's what I ended up going with. This is probably not a secret. I know many of you have tried this technique, I'm sure, but in case you are not aware, you can easily create this sort of behind the box look utilizing paper. And so that's what I did for my calendar layout. I wanted to have basically feathers fill up the entire background on this spread. And to do that, I just used the paper to line up with the box of my calendar, and then I was just stamping around all the way around, made them half on, half off, all different directions, and then that makes it look like the feathers are behind my calendar boxes. And it gives us a really, really cool effect. So you'll definitely be able to see it all the way once I am finished with this spread, but I am really happy with how this ended up turning out. And my stamp kit came with lots of different feathers, some big, some small, so I try to use all of them on here. And again, varying the different colors, and again, sometimes also mixing the colors. So there you can kind of see it a little bit better. I'm just adding in and filling in the spaces at this point. You even want to put the paper, behind the page so that you can stamp over the edge as well. Lots of little different techniques in here. So happy with how this turned out. It's probably my favorite spread in July. Then I just went in and added in the numbers for each of the days. This is just with my Sakura Pigma Micron pen. I love this. It's got a felt tip, but it's like perfect for doodling or just writing a little bit smaller. I think it's like a 0.4 size, so it's great. I love it. So it is great. It's one of my go-to pens for a lot of stuff right now. I'll have that linked in the description box down below if you want to check them out. The next page we'll be setting up here is going to be my trackers for the month. I kind of got this inspiration from one of the trackers I saw recently, and it is tracking your habits, but then also below it, I'm going to be tracking my productivity and my energy. And I'm really excited to see how those two components compare with what habits I'm able to complete for the day. I think eventually I would like to include a sleep tracker as well, but I did not do that this month. This was an idea I got from another bullet journaler. The one I'm using it from was a 2-page spread. I'll link to their Instagram account down below. But you can also see all of the habit tracker ideas I recently created in my newest video. I'll link it up in the top right corner here. This is one of those that I created and wanted to give a try. So I'm really excited to see how that goes, and I'm hoping I'll be able to keep up on this because I really do love habit tracking. Sometimes I just get busy and I forget and then I fall behind, but it's okay. It all happens as long as we just pick right back up. Remember, every time we fall, we rise again. So you can see on the habit tracker then I'll have my habits going across. I'll probably just use like a little dot to fill it in or something. I'm not really sure yet. And then below that, I'll be using a bar graph as well as a line graph to indicate where my productivity fell and where my energy fell on a scale of 1 to 10. You can follow me on my Instagram account. I will always update my bullet journal spreads and pages on there throughout the month. You can follow me at Creatively Kara. This next spread that I'm setting up is going to be my mood tracker. When I initially started drawing out these feathers, I realized they really started to look like leaves, so I went in and added in some little loose little feathers at the bottom. I think that ended up making it look a little bit more feather-like. I think they still turned out okay. Here is where I decided to actually draw out my feathers. I know I said in the beginning that it was really tough for me to decide what I wanted to do for my feather theme. I figured the stamps would not really work for my mood tracker because they're already be like colored in. So I wanted to do this instead, and I got to doodle in some feathers anyways. So if you're interested in using doodles for feathers, this would be a great idea. So I just made sure I had 31 feathers in there. Added in a header. I just decided to kind of go with an outlined in the gray mild liner. I love my mild liners, by the way. I just use a scale of 4 faces with the different blue colors, and as the month goes on, I will color in those feathers with the color of how I felt for that day. I did not number these feathers, so I'm interested to see how that's going to turn out. I usually like to number them. I probably could go back and put a little number outside of the feather. The next tracker I am working on is going to be for YouTube and Instagram. Those are my 2 big social media sites that I like to try and keep up on the most. And YouTube, I'm working on posting weekly, so you can expect a video hopefully from me every week. Then Instagram is where I just keep you guys updated on what's going on in my bullet journal and other creative things that I do, because I love Zentangling and watercoloring and really just trying to explore all of my creative aspects. I did not fill out these spreads yet, but essentially I want to be able to include my goals for the month, as well as, where I started off with subscribers or followers to where I ended, and then just to keep track of what I'm posting and when I'm posting it. This is a page I have not included in my bullet journal for a while. Actually, I don't even think at all this year. Wow. Well, it is called One Line a Day. And I debated on either doing the gratitude tracker or this one, and I decided 1 line a day because sometimes you can even include kind of gratitude in that. But I wanted to include this so I had a page where I could write out what happened during the day, so that way when I reflect back on the month, I'll be able to really see a little bit from each day all on one page. So it's kind of like a mini journal, but only in 1 line, so that's really challenging. Do you like to include a page like this in your bullet journal? Let me know in the comments below. Lastly, we have the first weekly setup in July. I wanted to go with boxes across the bottom page here. And this was something that I did utilize in June a little bit. I'm a huge fan of using more of these kind of quarter boxes. This time I didn't utilize the entire page because it kind of allows for a little bit more creativity when you leave some space at the top. Just a heads up, I'm really interested in trying a Dutch door layout for July. I saw some inspiration on Instagram. I know a lot of people have been doing these recently, but I have an idea in mind, so stay tuned. Again, follow me on Instagram and you'll be able to see an update on that. I may or may not try to make a video about it if it's worth it, so we'll have to see. I added a little bit of a blue thickness to the top of each box. That's where I'll kind of write in the day of the week. And then again, just adding in my lovely feathers using that same technique I used on my calendar layout. Again, as I mentioned, just writing in the days of the week here using my Pigma Micron. And more feather stamps. Now, this technique you could use for a lot of different things. Even if you were just drawing stuff out, this would still work really well. So yeah, consider using this because I think that this effect looks super cool in a bullet journal. And then I have lots of Happy Planner stickers still, so I flipped through my stock of stickers and found a quote that I really liked, so I wanted to include that in the box down there for a little quote on my weekly page. Then we just have a flip through of my bullet journal for the month of July. I am loving these colors, loving the feathers. I cannot wait to see what the rest of the month brings, and there you have it. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video today. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well and ring that bell if you want to be notified of when my videos are posted. Until next time, bye-bye!